Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful sunny afternoon. My name is Sally Berkery and I'm the Managing Director of CEW UK. And today I'm delighted to welcome Valérie Kaminov, who is the founder of the International Luxury Brand Consultancy, who's a passionate CEW member and a renowned expert in creating tailored strategies for brands looking to successfully enter and develop their international market representation. Valérie's extensive experience and forward-thinking approach have helped both new and well-established brands to launch on the international stage. And today she's going to share some of her knowledge on international development, including top tips on emerging markets to consider, as well as the increasing diversity of channels. With offices in London, Paris, Moscow, and a satellite network in China, Valérie has a truly global view that is as current as it is in-depth. After the session, Valérie will be offering one attendee, chosen at random, a complimentary one-to-one advice session on their international strategy. So we're very grateful to Valérie for that, and we will be in touch with you after today. And there will be some time for question at the end. So please do use the Q&A panel rather than the chat, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. So without further ado, over to you, Valérie.
Sally, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Let me switch on maybe my my screen. So I'm going to share. Can you just tell me if you're seeing, if everyone is seeing? I guess so. Well, Sally, thank you so much, really. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today. And thank you to all of you who have joined and are listening. We're going to spend about 45 minutes together. And I have one thing to say. It's a big thank you to CEW because I've been a member for many years. And to me, it is a true and it is an organization and an association that really stand out in our industry. Not just in its support for its member, but also for its forward thinking. And I must say, after 7 years that I've been, managing my own company, about 90% of my turnover comes from CEW. So big thank you, CEW. So I must say that Sally and I have been talking for a few months now with regard to going global and the concept of having events centered around the international strategy. So, now more than ever, considering different markets and different channels, it is not just about diversification, but it's also about a platform for growth to connect with potential audiences all around the world. So today, I'll be talking about why an international strategy can help transform your business and how do we go global. So let me switch that on. Maybe I should give you a little bit about my background because, it's quite unusual. And I've been an expert and I became an expert of brand commercial strategy as I have been involved now in the global beauty industry for over 25 years. In 2014, I established in London, International Luxury Brand Consultancy already 7 years ago, which is a go-to management and distribution agency which specializes into the global beauty sector. So I work closely with brand owners, with distributors, investor, private equity fund, of course, and I help them to develop and implement their strategic vision, their global territorial expansion, and of course, aid their portfolio management. And I usually build and deliver international commercial and marketing due diligence. And I provide advice on organizational structure and country management. In 2015, actually, I started partnering with my first local distributor in China, who is now specializing in very high-end skincare brand. And I have learned so much about the business there. And I took so many UK brands and French brands there. And this was my first step really into the big world of China. Ahead of Brexit, when I saw that coming straight at our face, about a year ago, last year, I established actually my subsidiary in Paris, and I used now a precision focused methodology to deliver international strategy services. Back in September last year, I set up a partnership with a US consultancy agency, which is based in Miami, another French lady over there, Catherine, who represent my country management services for the North and South America. And in March this year, I set up a representative office in Moscow to help brand demystify the complexity of the region, because it's quite mystic, but also help them to navigate its intricacies and create a route to successful business growth. So our strategy and planning approach focuses on 3 key stages, which is allowing us to deliver a market intelligence in Russia, distribution partnership introduction, and of course, an ongoing country management. So saying this, I must say that taking a brand internationally, it's an art and it is a mindset. And it's, if I have one advice to say is think globally. So over the years, I have worked with some exceptional brands and I've seen many, many changes, from clean beauty and natural look makeup to custom design fragrances and tailor-made shampoo. To me, each global market has its own beauty trends, its own consumer demand, and of course, its culture sensibility. We have become used now to seeing trends in the beauty industry set by the large multinational companies with their globally recognized brands dominating retail channels the consumer could access, obviously. But in the recent year, I must say the beauty industry has seen a powerful surge in creativity, entrepreneurship, and technology, which is exciting and obviously is shaping the future of our business. So when you look at the global beauty market, there has been a seismic shift in this established structure, which has been created by the new generation of what we call the indie brands, who are having now a powerful and very direct influence on our customer. Excuse me, I'm just trying to, here we are, voila. On our customer. So the beauty industry grew from $483 billion in 2020 to now $511 billion in 21. So its annual growth rate is close to 5% in the world. And it's predicted that it's going to exceed nearly $784 billion in 2027. So when we look at the prestige beauty, because most of the brands, they want to become prestigious and also they want to position themselves as a prestige one, their non-traditional approach to the market is very challenging and is also challenging what the beauty brand is and can be. So there is a new wave of disruptors, which is creating a revolution in our global market, beauty market. I'm sure you have seen. It's likely to have a long-lasting impact on the way consumers discover and purchase beauty future. The US, of course, is the world's largest beauty market with 20% revenue generated by the US, 13% share from Asia, from China, 8% from Japan. When I did my research preparing this conference, I was very just surprised to see that 21% of the Americans are buying organic makeup. So no wonder, all this influence and other factors made 2020 a particular important year for the global beauty industry. So I'm going now to look at the skincare industry and the statistic. Well, there is a very dynamic growth which has continued to increase, and it's powered by new trends, new product concept, rising independent brands, but also continuous investment. The business of beauty has become even more global now, and emerging nations have grown in their purchasing power, while the expansion of cosmetic marketing through digital channels have created new platforms and connectivity around the world. So if I have to say anything, it's like, you just need to go on Google and see the amount of new brands that are emerging. Another category, which is now growing more and more, is the hair care and the perfume industry, the perfume. So whilst the women's mass fragrance market, for example, in the US is reaching over $465 million, we can see that the men are using fragrances more and more, and they are catching up with about 327 million USD. The hair care category is totally exploding globally. Most of the brands that now I have and I work with, they want to develop shampoo, hair conditioner, or treatment. No wonder, because shampoo has become the largest market share now in the hair segment, and it's reaching over 30 billion, most of, for, let's say, 2023. So, saying this, there is also not only the shampoo and the hair, but about the personal care, and especially now with all the time that we're spending at home and trying to do, to look at our self well-being. So the global beauty and the personal care market is expected to decline by 2% in 2021. However, we can still see that the region where we are going to have a growth, obviously, I'll let you guess, it's Asia Pacific and Australasia, and which is, of course, going to recover the first from the pandemic. Asia Pacific accounted for 55% of the absolute value gain in beauty and personal care. So again, if there is any country you need to look for, it's maybe look at this type of this part of the world if you want to grow your business. Skincare nowadays is the most consumed part of the beauty category. And obviously, where does that come from? So I've tried to give you some figures. Obviously, the figures are going to change with the outcome of the pandemic, but at the moment, China is the leader and in skincare category, just ahead of Japan and South Korea. And globally, it's followed by also the color cosmetic, which comes second, followed the third on hair care. Asia Pacific is a key source of growth, and this is something that you must have a look at. This is a very quick overview, obviously, of as the data are going to change. In 2019, Asia Pacific was by far the largest engine of growth in skincare and color cosmetic. Asia Pacific made about 90% of the global color cosmetics market gain about 2 years ago, and it's driven again by China and, believe it or not, India, Japan, and of course it's due to the emerging color cosmetic culture, which are from the smaller base, and they are growing now. The Middle East, interesting, is the masstige hair care and skincare brands that are now in more demand. So, about the global sales distribution and the beauty category, whilst skincare growth in Asia Pacific was driven by the premium face care segment, we now record a shift in the consumer to back to basic through traditional Chinese and Korean medicine. And obviously with the pandemic, we have noticed that consumers are staying more at home. They want to experience more home treatment. They want also to do it themselves. So many women and men are trying to dye their hair, themselves, trying to do their makeup with lots of tutorial. So hence, we've seen a shift or a clash of number of hair salon, beauty salon closing down. Well, this information in mind, what I would say is, how do you take now your business globally? And do you need to take it? And how should you do? So I would love to switch now to getting ready to launch your brand internationally. I would say that if there is one thing you need to remember today about my presentation is that assessing market opportunity is an art, and building an international strategy requires global market knowledge, lots of proficiency and expertise. So my advice is, please do not jump, and do not jump into a market when you see only occasional opportunities. take your time to just to call an expert and just have a strategy in place. So, it's very interesting. Over the last 26 years, what I've done is I've been speaking a lot with brand owners, and it is not, taking your brand at the international, it's not about copy and paste. It's about taking the time to implement it, really. And I have seen over the last 20 years now, 10 common mistakes made by brand owners that I would love you to really remember, not to make, please. So what have I seen? First of all, the brands, they have no understanding of the distributor business. They don't ask the question. They don't have any specific target or to measure the distributor performance. Or worse, they assume that the distributor can do the job and want to sell the product. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because most of the brand, they don't communicate. They don't have a good communication strategy with a distributor on a regular basis. Please do talk to your distributor. Most of them, they are not very clear about their marketing and their business plan for the distributor. What are you expecting from the distributor? Worse, it's about the retail or the distributor price list you're selling to the distributors. It doesn't fit the market. Or even worse, there is no scalability. If the market is successful, do you have the stock? Most of the time, there is no commitment financially. The brand are just saying, well, do it yourself, Mr. Distributor. And the worst I have seen is that brands are not patient enough. They give up too soon in countries. But you know what? You have to understand also that on their side, the distributor, they're watching you, and there are a list of questions they really want to ask you. So the first thing is, do you really have a unique USP? Is your product so very different? And how much money are you going to invest into your, into the country? Let me just move that somewhere here. Voila, that's going to be better. Then also is, where has the brand been successful? Because you're expecting the success in other countries, but have you been successful before? Is it a tough job to launch your brand? And can the distributor also make money with your brand? So these are all the questions that a distributor is going to ask himself. And the first thing he's going to ask is, do you really understand their market? But on the other hand, what needs to be done is, what question do you want to ask the distributor? How do you select them? So first of all, company profile, company brand portfolio. What other brands are they distributing? New product launch, if they have had any success story. Action plan, what are they going to do with your brand? Price structure, know exactly in detail how much the distributor will have to pay and to put on the table to bring in your product into their country. And the most important is, do they have sparkle in their eyes when they look at your brand? This is very important. How do you evaluate that, you want to go to a market? So again, you have to do your homework. You have to look at the population compared to the brand. You have also to make sure that the country, the global sale versus the product category. You really ask yourself questions. What about the personal care? Are they using toothpaste? Are they using hair care, etc.? Population and the countries are very, very different. The consumer, they're also very different. And, again, it's you have to understand what is the best performing product. So when I prepare commercial strategy, I like to give a few options to my clients. 2020 was a year that marked a turning point and a move towards a new definition of beauty. So, you can't expect things to be very easy. First of all, you have to look at all the different options. And the options are all about looking at, okay, the overview. What is the landscape at the international? We are an industry built on product and services, and we need to meet the evolving demand of the consumer. More than ever, the trends are starting small and growing into mainstream. So when preparing your strategy, ask yourself, what option do I have? Option one, do I go online with a retailer, online retailers, and is it going to be easy for me to ship globally? Well, it may be, one point of contact. Yes, it's easy. It may be logistically easy because it's cheaper. You ship to one point. Very accessible, you get the data, but look at the other side of the coin. What about if the goods arrive damaged? What about if, there are more packing and more packing is consumed also with having one or two or three different retailers, online retailers? The other option is, what about going to the big retailers? And we have, for example, the big chain, the Douglas, the Kicks, the Space NK, the Credo, the Ulta, the Boots, obviously, the Le Sephora, why not? So again, you have always some advantages, but also you have some disadvantages. And this is something you must take into consideration. Take, please, your calculator. Look at the logistic. If it's easier to ship to one store rather than to a number of stores, is it going to be a consistent speech about branding also? What about the insight and the analytic? But what about the cultural disadvantages? Do you know that Douglas covers about 13 countries, and these countries, they all have different customers. So it's not because you're going to work with a chain that all the countries will be, retailing and selling through the same way. Another option, how about the marketplace? Cross-border, everybody is talking about cross-border to Russia, cross-border to China, cross-border to India. Yes, it's fast and it's maybe a quick fix because you go globally instantly if you do it very well. On the other hand, you have to be very careful. Watch, about what about the damages of the product, B, the fraud, C, the currency. And also you have also sadly, sometimes the possibility to have a fake product being sold on cross-border. So it's all about being extremely selective. Now, the next question is, okay, I want to make money. I am a brand, but do I choose a distributor or do I choose a sales agent? Well, this is another story. Sales agents, they usually know very well their market. They have strong relationship with their retailer. They're usually on retainer or commission model. They handle plus or minus well the sales support. So unless you really teach them, unless you're really behind them and ask them to be your brand representative there. But on the other hand, they don't handle, the warehousing, they don't handle the return, they don't handle the staff. So all these are questions that you must ask yourself. A distributor, obviously, they know the market, they import, the responsibility is on their side, but do you control them? And do you have enough margin to work with them? So basically, these are all the questions you need to ask yourself. Another point, please understand the regulatory and the requirement for the market. This is not a joke. And if I have to start with anything, I would start with this one. What does a brand need to do to enter the market? How do you ensure the products are compliant with the local regulation? How much does it cost you? Is it only a one cost, or are you going to have to pay every year for the same regulatory requirement? How much is it going to cost you? Language. How many languages do I need to put on the pack of my product? Authorization, terminology. Am I allowed to use bleaching, whitening, etc.? So these are all, every rules, every regulation is, it's every country has its own regulation. So don't assume that because you have an FDA, you can sell to Canada, you can sell to, I don't know, to China, you can, or you are EU regulated, you can sell to, you have some very specificity, for example, in Germany, the green point, etc., etc. When I was doing my search, I had fun going through all the international regulatory requirement. And I must say, I got stuck a few times. So I had to call Dr. Mojan Modaresi, who is my regulator, and ask her for, for more advice. But what I realized is that look at the associated cost and all the consideration you need to take into account. When, look, the US, the Canada, Europe is different. We all have different instructions to put on our packaging. I'm not even talking about China. You have to go through regulators and you have to go through the right people. Russia, are you aware that, for example, you need to pay a minimum of 6,000 rubles per product to be able to register, to be able to, to do a special declaration? Are you aware that you need to print on your packaging the EAC code, etc.? So it's only when I looked and when I opened my branch, my subsidiary in Moscow, that my good Anna Galoshkina, who is now my head of planning and regulatory in Moscow, really helped me to understand very, very deeply the regulation. So it's absolutely not copy and paste anywhere. It is difficult. Every country has a Ministry of Health, and call it India, South Africa, Argentina, Brazil, and behind everything, or in front of every country, you have cost and cost and cost. Not only you have cost, but also you have regulatory trends. I am not talking about the French yucca, this little carrot that is now that you zap and you just double check if your product is good or not for the consumer. But also you have trends about on the environment, on the social and corporate governance. You have trend about driven by the cosmetic data also, etc., etc. So all this regulation, I can tell you, it's like, wow. Bottom line, are you financially fit to go to the international? Well, I have to tell you something. In many years that I have been advising clients on their market and new market entry strategy, I have probably recommended to a quarter of them, no, don't go, you're not ready. It's not the right time, as building an international strategy requires lots of investment, brand adaptation, infrastructure, and of course, ongoing commitment. You need to keep your long-term goals at the forefront. You get ready and you get it right, I can tell you, you can transform your business, not just on the global stage, but also you can also accelerate your home market. So one thing that I have forgotten, obviously, because it's not all about money, but it's about people. And it is very, very important to see if you really have the team in place. So it's important to have a strong team to manage the international expansion. And it's not just about to understand, the shipping, the packing, etc., but it's to understand any aspect of the distribution, from the supply chain to the marketing, to the PR, to the finance, and the culture, exactly. So you have to remember that education is key, and your distributor is one of your best ambassadors. And I always, say to my customer, finding the right partner for growth is a bit like being a matchmaker. And actually, it's a little nickname that I've been given, particularly at the event like Tax-Free Exhibition in Cannes or in Hong Kong or Cosmoprof or Singapore, when I organize the one-to-one meeting session. Also the IMFs with professional beauty in London, in Dubai, Beauty Matter in the US, Cosmeting in Paris. So, people are very important. Now, how do we start? I hope you haven't fallen asleep, because it was only an appetizer. And now I'm going to dig really my teeth into a good strategy and what is a good strategy and how do you assess the opportunity. So if I am asked, Valerie, what is a good strategy? Well, a good strategy is when you can plan step by step. Because to me, I don't believe in one size fits all approach when I work with a brand. So I have a 4-stage methodology that is tailored to each individual client. And this method has been honed through being in the industry for more than 25 years now and working with diverse channels from leading distributors to independent retailer, pharmacy chains, spa, hotel, e-commerce, and not to forget my last baby, TV shopping in Russia and in the UK, of course, and travel retail. But of course, there are rules of engagement, and the rules of engagement are you must really follow the basic requirement. Some core points to focus are having a strong DNA, distinctive digital presence, but also relevant offering for the global market, engage consumer and followers, proven result and good margin. You can't, if you don't have it all, don't think about going to the international. You have only one chance to make a first good impression. So do try to understand what every distributor wants to know about your company and just go ahead and be absolutely honest and straightforward with them. So how do we vet the new partner? Well, after what I've just said, I wouldn't be surprised that this might seem a bit daunting. But I must say that when you have all this preparation work in place, your business is much stronger, in a much stronger position for growth. So look at the retailer relationship, marketing, PR capabilities, but also the ambition, the reporting, the understanding of your brand, this, and also the payment. It's important to know when your distributor is going to pay. You're not going to be the bank. They have to pay on time. And what investment are they going to also to bring to you? Now, they are, when you drive a car, you always have to look in the back mirror. And these are what I say at the international, exactly the unexpected cost. Unexpected costs can be extremely, extremely expensive. Additionally, or £10 because of the foreign exchange. Additional travel and communication charges. Please, please, please try to avoid to miss any calculation. Certification are expensive. Build in your margin some room. Get also market research from professional. Ask regulatory people. Really use very good professional. Now, I'm going to ask a few questions after that. But one thing to remember is also the Incoterm. Have you learned about your Incoterm? Please make the difference between the ex-work, the FCA, the FOB, the CFI, the CPI, but also with the responsibility that goes with you. You are the seller. You have to look after, if you're a warehouse, the warehousing is at your charge, the export packing is at your charge, the buyer will have to pay for the international logistic freight, etc., etc. This is a very important, slide to remember this one. Now, once you have chosen your intercom, Interterms, you really need to look into the legal consideration. So, take into consideration the legal requirement, your IP. Have you registered your trademark? Have you registered your patents and your logo? Most of the clients that I've had over the last 5 years, they have been pinched their logo or their trademark. What about the counterfeit product? Do you know that 86% of the fake products come from Hong Kong and China? So please make sure that You help your own customers to identify the fake product, and encourage them to really report the products when they are fake. Exclusivity agreement, is that a good way to do business, or do you limit your territorial growth perspective if you give an exclusivity? Well, you really have to consider a few options here, and only a specialist will tell you why it's worth one or the other. On the other side, it's like, please look carefully at also the customs and the local tax rate. This is a killer on your P&L. So now let's prepare a negotiation strategy. Well, there is no magic. I'm sure you've learned about that already. There is no copy and paste, and there are some key milestones you need to consider when preparing your negotiation strategy. You must work with a qualified industry expert who knows what they are doing, and they have been there, they have done it before, and you're not the first brand that they are taking with them to expand the international. Please make sure that you work with the people that have done their homework, and preparation is key. And please don't miss out the following. Make sure that you know what is important to negotiate on and what can be identified as less important. Know in advance what is the best scenario for you. Let's say your opening order. Do you know what is a big order for you? Do you know if you have the stock? Also, be ready to revise your pricing and your terms of payment. Don't be too greedy. Do not forget that you can check also the credit limit with the potential partner and get reference check. Are they good payer? Prepare several proposals for the distributors, and always providing a share marketing and promotion investment. I always say a good partnership is when you invest one and when the distributor invests one. It has to be a win-win deal, and this always lasts much longer. And also know what is your worst scenario. So go into the planning, the forecasting, the projecting, the calculation. Please do not be weak in negotiation, but be ready to pull out of the negotiation if you think that you're losing money. So take again your calculator. A good deal is when you race for the business sustainability and continuous growth rather than the phlegm or the fame and the fluff. So now let's try to prepare and get your product market ready. So again, the secret to successful international growth is, of course, understanding where your brand should be and where your brand should export to, how to adapt the landscape, how to capitalize the best commercial channel, and who are the best partner. And it's absolutely common sense, It's like, well, what do I need to do? How do I need to get market ready? And I must say, it's not simple and it's not instant. Each of my client is individual. And in my consultancy, what I do is I like to, I've grown my consultancy to build on delivering the result. And it's not just about opening market, but also offered sustained growth plan. Market intelligence, so USP, evolution, etc. I must say that payment terms are one of the really matter that you really need to look into. Look at how you're going to be paid. Look at when are you going to be paid. But also look at, currency. This is all very important. Select always the safest way. Education. So education, communication, public relation, obviously you will have to work very closely with your distributor. You really have to give them the right information. Remember, a distributor is a part of your family that is going to replicate what you do the best and adapt it into your country, into their own country. So if the distributor say yes, ask yourself, can I take an order tomorrow? Do I have my labeling okay? How much stock do I have? Do I have a warehouse? Can I really fulfill a pallet tomorrow? Etc., etc. I have seen so many times with British brand, I'm afraid, penalties coming from Les Galeries Lafayette, Le Bon Marché, Monoprix, or Nocibé in France. And the French are really good at giving penalty, I'm sorry. But I must say that if you do your homework, you will be successful. And for me, the key to success is basically you need to be very adaptable. You need to prepare yourself. You need to avoid making this silly mistake that everyone makes, because we're not, with the internet, with the people like me, we all are very much aware of how to remain in control when you go to the international. So if I am asked questions, I would say key to success is basically adaptability, be extremely persistent, but also be very productive. Choose your battle. So Sally, I think I'm going to see if there is any questions, because I think this is the end of my little talk. So let me see if I have any questions. Yes, we have actually. And I can't see, actually, I can't see. Shall I stop sharing? Here we are. Yes. Voila, in the chat group. Okay, very good. Very, very good. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for really for the question. I can see that I'm having some of them. Excuse me, I'm trying to maneuver. By the way, if you want to contact me, these are my contact details here. And I'm also on LinkedIn, as you know. It's better if you reach my office in England, because otherwise in Moscow, they will answer you in Russian. In France, they will answer you in French. But anyway, I'm here to answer your question. So yes, the questions, that's a very interesting one. What are the rules of engagement when you go to the international? Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. I must say, the rule of engagement it's quite straightforward. When I work with brand, my role is to help a business grow and develop it the right way. This is very important. Again, this is not about just delivering sales, but it's about planning the strategy, preparing the foundation for sustained growth, discovering the best prospect for the brand, optimizing their timing for expansion. It's important also to know that you have to satisfy the shareholder or your shareholder appetite. So when I take a project, when I take a brand under my wing, sometimes I can see that there is an accelerated opportunity. Particularly now, as the new world is leading different trends emerging, but I realize that with the brand owner or with the brand manager, agility is what is my key success. And it's if you are looking to expand, please be very agile and be very inquisitive also. You need to be able to act quickly and capitalize on the real thirst for newness that motivates the market. I'll give you one example. I'm very fortunate as I have a strong connection and strong network of international distributor and gatekeepers contact who I can go to as a part of all the review that I do. So it doesn't usually take me too long to sound proof and sound test the market when I have the brand or the product in my hand and when I do a top to toe review. And I must say, most of the time, I always tell my brand, please do take the time for due diligence on a new market and be realistic. Do realistic check. You're not going to grow brand awareness if you only have 10,000 euros to invest into a campaign, a TV campaign. No, you will be better off just putting on hold your search. And then if there is a potential, then get your brand ready. Because the markets and the channel, they have different timing. Sometimes, and too many times again, recently I've seen with my brands coming in, especially the American brands, amazing brand. I know they have a potential on, let's say, 12 countries in Europe, but sometimes it takes time. And, sometimes I can turn around market in 3 months when the products are already compliant. Sometimes it takes 9 to 12 months, depending on the distribution channel. So I think it's, if I have one recommendation to say, my recommendation is always to start a conversation once you know there is a market opportunity for you and for your brand, and be patient. And again, another question I've seen in the chat is that what do you recommend to, which country do you recommend to launch your brand? Okay, I would say it's like cooking. International strategy is like cooking. You have some dish who cooks quick. You have the fast cook, the quick kitchen, and you have also the long time that you have to put effort and start. Again, you add some seasoning and etc. So this is the same with the international. There is not a quick fix. But again, the last really advice I would say to you guys is that be extremely transparent. Too many times I see brand owners telling me, don't worry, I'm not going to say that. I'm not ready. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell the distributor that I'm going to change the packaging within the next 3 months. I want my stock to be shipped away. This is not correct. Honestly, you're better off sharing your strategy with your distributor, because the distributors and also the local retailers, if you decide to go straight to retailers, they are extremely knowledgeable. Not only they know about their market, but also they know when is the best time to go to and when it's, for the launch. And also they know their consumer. So please don't think that, a distributor doesn't know how to do. They will do their best and adapt your own strategy, but at the end, they live in the country you want to export to. Well, I hope it has given you some great information for the answer. Sorry, the answer was a bit long. I can see, this is very interesting. What advice would you give to a brand if they want to go internationally? Well, I think I'm going to repeat myself. And it's still a very good question. It means that it's not an easy job. And my first advice would be, you have to work with an advisor who can act as your risk officer, because you don't want to be the one taking risk. It's better off to say to your shareholder or to your managing director, I've done my study, I have consulted an advisor, this is what he has recommended, this is the strategy we're going to do, please can you validate that? Because, I have often taken up this role of risk officer, advisor, call it, for my client and also for the investors. And as, like you and like them, they all want to be able to protect their investment, but also to get clear visibility of the requirements on the brand, and the country. I really feel for the brand owner, because honestly, I know they have so many areas they need to focus. They can't do it themselves. They can't do it alone. And, if they do, they can't be a specialist of every area. And especially because of the regulatory, everything changes so quickly. You have to have some, key poles and key pillars, people to refer to. And this is the type of, advice and also the type of services I do give. My strategy is very clear. It's step by step by step. And I would definitely recommend bringing a consultant that can advise you again on the expansion strategy. It's not an easy part, honestly. So I would say to finish, because I think we are getting close to the end, Sally, that, you know, if you have a strong team, if you educate them, if you have the good, I would say, the good mind to develop a strategy, well, do it step by step. And also don't hesitate. And there is nothing wrong about asking. You don't know, it's okay. I didn't know myself, but what is not correct is not to know, and know that you don't know and don't ask. So you have my email address, you have my company detail. I'll be very happy to give you more, maybe in another webinar, Sally. Maybe we could do that. Is a little bit more about the insight in the strategy to go into Russia, because now I have my people there. And I think it's going to be absolutely very crucial and very relevant for some brand to do maybe a market checkup. So as a conclusion, I would like to say thank you so much for listening to me. Please do remain in control of your brand values, because quick fix do not exist, and if they do, they're expensive, and they will not look very good on your P&L at the end. So satisfy also your shareholder, and be very clear where you want to go. I'm here to help if you want. Thank you so much for listening. So, Sally, I'll give that back to you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sure that Sally will come back again. Voila.
Here I am. Valérie, thank you so much. I think there are some more questions to answer. So I think possibly we'll send those to you. And sorry if we haven't been able to get to those this afternoon. For those who have unanswered questions in the box, we'll pass them on to Valérie straight afterwards, and she'll be in touch. And obviously you have her details now. But thank you so much. I mean, it's a huge amount of work to condense into such a short amount of time. I know when we've been talking about it, it does feel like it could be a kind of a Netflix series. So we definitely will be welcoming you back again in the future, very soon, I hope. And do please get in contact with Valérie or the hello@CEW website email address. A bit of housekeeping for those members who are here. If you don't have your tickets yet, our Beauty Awards, 16th Annual Beauty Awards will open on Sunday. You'll know that we weren't able to do the Olympia event this year because of COVID, but we have got a virtual platform which is open for 2 weeks. We actually have a record number of entries this year, which is fantastic. And each ticket holder will be able to discover all of the brands on show. There's some amazing products in it this year. It's fantastic. We also are hosting a 2-day virtual summit. So those will be, I think there's about 8 to 10 sessions each day. People like Amazon, Mintel, Sainsbury's, Atom Research, Givaudan, all doing sessions through that. And then, of course, all ticket holders will receive the massive selection of products that you normally take home in your bag. They're going to be delivered to your door this year, because it's really important that you are able to test and trial the products for the voting. And it's the members of CW that vote for the winners, which will be announced in September. So ticket sales will be closing in the next couple of days. So we need those in if you want to attend, if you want to get an OTP code to join, and of course your address for the products. So that's it. But without further ado, thank you so much, Valérie. We've really appreciated having you here. We hope to see you at the awards, and of course, very much hope that we'll be able to meet in person before too long. Please, that would be wonderful. But have a lovely evening, everybody. Enjoy your walk or your rosé or whatever you're doing. Okay, bye-bye.
Having me. Bye-bye.